start there. So there we go. 3, 2, and 1. Well, Dan, welcome to Mayors Monday here at WSAU, WSAU.com. Glad to make a connection with you here. It's been a while since we've last had the chance to chat. I know both of us had some health things to take care of. So glad to see that we're both here and we're both continuing to serve our respective communities.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's nice to be standing on the ground rather than laying under it.
Yeah, they're on the right side, as we like to say. And it's been, things have been crazy, obviously, for the last year. We're now at this for 1 year exactly, nearly. I think it was actually about the 1 year, the first outbreak last year. We did get a chance to talk to you in March. Now, here we are in February. So, I just give us an idea, at the 1 year mark, 1 year anniversary, whatever you want to call it, of the COVID-19 outbreak. I mean, how have things been going in the village, and what have you learned in the last year?
Sure. So, obviously we had a lot to learn early on. Nobody has really ever gone through anything like this before. So, at the Village of Plover level, we spent a lot of time administratively figuring out policies and procedures and setting up departments and, meeting everybody's needs. Obviously, as things progressed, we have really settled into a pretty good routine here. Obviously, because I'm by myself in my office right now, I can be without my mask, but obviously mask wearing is critical for us all. And I think that our employees have done a wonderful job of adjusting to that, even though it can be hard and frustrating at times, especially those that are doing pretty physical manual labor from time to time. But we are now in that routine from that standpoint. Obviously, we're in a phase where the vaccines are starting to come out and people are choosing, and actually some people are very anxious to get them. And so that's good news. Hopefully we can keep those vaccines rolling out and get, everybody in our counties who wants to be vaccinated, because I think that will help us move forward and then hopefully get us to more of a semblance of normal, whether that's late summer or even in the fall or, soon is what we hope here, that we can start to see the light at the end of the tunnel.
Absolutely. And you mentioned to me just a little bit off air, you're doing something, I don't know if I would call it unique, but you are working with local medical providers in the Plover area for those employees that do want to get vaccinated. You're doing your best to try and get them in as soon as possible.
Exactly. We've developed a list of those employees who are willing to be vaccinated. And so we've contacted the medical providers to say, hey, if you're having a clinic and you get to the end of the day and you have 1 or 2 doses left that are going to expire, in a couple of hours, please call us. We'll send people over immediately. And it's a way to get our people who basically, are being exposed to the public quite a bit and are essential employees. It's a way to get them vaccinated and done with their vaccines and move us forward. So basically, we're trying to be proactive to basically reach out that, again, if there's a situation where there's an extra dose or 2 available, please contact us because we can send people at a moment's notice to get over and be vaccinated.
And how many employees have you seen take advantage of that?
So far, we've got phone calls and we've been able to have 2 vaccinated. Right now on the list, because the majority of our employees are police and fire department folks, and obviously they're in the category already. So many of them have been vaccinated already. So our numbers are pretty good. Plover's a smaller community. We have about 18 people left on our list to go that have volunteered that want to be vaccinated. So about 18 to go.
And it's certainly something that sooner rather than later everybody wants, but of course we're just sometimes stuck in that holding pattern, waiting our turn, and hopefully, again, like you said, this will be behind us in a few months time, or even just by next season, by this summer. We'll hope that everything can return to normal, and people can get out, and we can have things like Celebrate Plover and get together around the Lake Pacwa, which is one thing I know that we're going to talk about here coming up. But before we talk about that, I did want to ask you, Have you ever been in a situation on one of these Zoom calls where you've accidentally turned into a cat, like the British lawyer did famously here a couple of
No,
weeks ago?
don't, that never has happened.
Not yet, not yet. No,
I
you've got the Zoom thing figured out pretty well.
Yeah, as best I can, you bet.
As best, yeah, exactly. That's my boss calls me the Zoom expert, so I'm the one that has to occasionally handle and schedule his Zoom meetings. Hopefully, that'll be reflected in the year end bonus one way or another. Talking about Lake Pacua, though, this is a project that you and I have been talking about for about a year now, but it's something that I know I'm really excited to check out the finished product or once it does come in. And I know a lot of people in Plover certainly will be as well, especially those who like to get outdoors. You've got a lot of great improvements that are going to be coming there this summer.
We're excited about it as well. We can't wait for construction to begin. If the bids come in well, we should be starting construction on August 1st, right after Celebrate Plover. We're going to make a final decision on Celebrate Plover in a couple of weeks here, but the thought process right now in talking to county health officials is that we should be able to move forward. So we're really looking forward to that, and an activity that our residents and area residents really like to come to. But yes, when we talk about the Lake Pacua Phase 2 improvements, some fantastic things that are going to be available to the public. Probably at the top of people's list are the splash pad area and playground area. Those are designed to be accessible, so those with specialized needs will be able to use the facility in addition to our normal groups of children and families that like to come through. So we're really, really excited about that. And they're fairly large play areas too. So not your smaller variety, but they're going to take up a fair amount of space with respect to Lake Pacua, which will be good and it will be fun. In addition to that, there's a shelter fairly close to that that will be building new. The Lions shelters that are there are kind of old and dated. They really need some TLC. And so the thought process is we're going to remove those two and replace it with one that will have the same functions. Along with that, we're redoing the boat landing area. We're actually going to create a boat launch area that also includes a kayak launch as well, and that will be accessible as well. And then there'll be two fishing piers that will be added around the lake. Part of the reason for that is not only to give people fishing opportunities, but we have some people that have fished off of the Korean Memorial Island, and they're really not supposed to be doing that. That memorial is for the Korean veterans. So we hope that by providing other spaces that folks will honor the intent of what the Korean Memorial is. So that will be fun. In addition to that, we are adding a paved trail all the way around Lake Pacua. And so that will expand the sidewalk trail system that's already in that development. We're going to rehab the beach area. So we're going to bring in some new sand. We're going to take out some of the invasive species. We're going to make it what it used to be, because Lake Pacua in the past was really known for a destination of coming to the beach, with family and friends, and we want to restore it to that condition. So that work will be occurring as well. So we look forward to that. And then, some of the not so fun things, we're going to add parking. Obviously, with more people coming, we're going to need some additional parking. So we're going to certainly add that. And then we're going to do some other things from a landscaping standpoint as well. In fact, the landscaping actually is going to tie in very closely with the theme of accessibility and usability and education. So we're going to try to create some learning spaces with respect to some of these areas that we're planting. For example, just something simple like planting trees, right? A lot of times, when you're going to a park, you'll see your maples, you'll see your oaks, and maybe an evergreen tree here and there. But what we want to do is we want to try to start planting native tree species, but ones that are very different in nature than what you would typically see. So you can say, these are things you can feel, you can touch that are, you don't normally see, but are really part of our Wisconsin and Portage County landscape. So kind of these really cool, neat elements going into the park as well that we're very excited about.
And I think a lot of people, might think that this project is a year behind. I think a lot of people would have liked to have these spaces outdoors, especially this summer when social distancing, outside activity was really the name of the game. We didn't have ways to gather together in large groups, so we had to get outside separately and have these places to go out and to come to. I think a lot of people though are probably going to be taking advantage of this over the summer, especially because they want to get outside and do things like these as a family.
Absolutely. I think people will be very excited to return to normal and do some things. And yes, while the timing could be a little bit better, so we had them done a little bit sooner, I think just seeing the progress of the construction starting, seeing the elements that are going to be there, frankly, this is a facility that's going to be for our residents of Portage County and well beyond. We know one of the people that's helping us with the fundraising, he's our building inspector, and he has a daughter that basically had to have some heart surgery and had very early on in her age, and she needed to do physical therapy. So he regularly has to take her and then the family down to Madison to the Children's Hospital facility. And in talking to parents there, they're excited to learn about the facility because they're saying, hey, wouldn't it be cool to be able to do physical therapy activities outside? Well, guess what? You will be able to do that here. So I think the more people find out about those extra things that they can do, it's going to generate some additional interest. And so we're so excited for our community to be able to use this facility. But then if there are other residents throughout the state that want to come and check it out and use it too, all the merrier. That's exactly what this facility is for.
Absolutely, and we'll look forward to the start of that progress, and hopefully a ribbon cutting ceremony sometime in the near future, the next year or so. And then another great project that we've been talking about quite a bit. What happens to the Shopco facility? You finally have a plan in place. Things are in motion, and I think the most interesting thing about this is you're turning it into an almost a mini mall type setup at a time when malls are not necessarily uh succeeding, I guess we could say, but you're looking to turn this retail space into some smaller retail spaces, and things are moving pretty quickly with this.
Yeah, it's a really unique concept and design. The name of the facility will be called Artists and Fair. And ultimately, I'll give you some examples of the folks that will be in there. So Oso Brewing, one of our local brewers who's had a need for expansion, for several years now, that will meet their long-term needs for growth and expansion. But what will be cool about that facility is that not only will they be taking their production over there, but obviously they will be able to, have some of their shop space for selling brewing products for the home brewers. People want to go there and basically, have some of their brews that also makes themselves. They can sit at the bar area and have an Oso brew. Or there's actually going to be a mezzanine above, and people will actually be able to sit upstairs too, and really overlook the production portion of the facility too. So it's this neat, cool vibe from that standpoint that starting with Oso, but it's building into some of the other users. Mission Coffee House has announced that they will be building a facility within that development. Mike Maskey, who owns Mikey's Restaurant across the street and a social, will be building a new restaurant that will be a little bit later to come. But there's a lot of the tenant spaces that have already been leased. As we talked a little while ago, there's 7 leases that are in the process of being signed right now. We unfortunately can't tell you them quite yet, but as soon as we can, we certainly will pass those along. But a lot of different type of users, and again, artists, so artisan type of users, and fair meaning eating establishments. So it's going to be this great little mix of those types of activities. Fitness, for people, example, hair salons, just a lot of activities. And again, the people that are taking leases or actually going into that facility are really excited about it. And it's generated an excitement in the community as well from that standpoint, because in a way it's very different of taking this very large big box space, breaking it down, and as you walk in, there'll be like this atrium type area which will be very, very aesthetic. And then even as you walk from the outside inside, the goal is to remove some of that parking area and create a green space area as well. So reimagined, redeveloped space. We're excited to show it off, and I know the developers are as well.
Yeah, that's and this is a time where not only do you have many industries shrinking, there's not been a whole lot of success in retail. for one reason or another, due to the pandemic, due to the increase of the Amazons of the world and things like that. But you're finding a way to basically reinvent the wheel when it kind of comes to mall space in this area. In fact, maybe that's somebody else who wants to sign a lease, calling you right now. But in having these discussions, I mean, how many creative minds do you have to put together in a room to make something like this happen?
It doesn't take too many creative minds from that standpoint. You get one or two in there and the ideas fly, but the more people that you get involved, the greater the ideas, come forward. Back to the Lake Pacwa project, I have to, mention that from that standpoint of what you're just talking about. So we have a fundraising group that has gotten together and basically we've added some people, and those people just have these, tremendous idea about fundraising or ideas. Russ from Mission Coffee House, for example, found out about what we were doing and he wants to be part of it. So Mission Coffee House is going to be developing a fundraiser video from their perspective about why this project is important and why they support it, and urging people to make some donations. And then, other team members are coming forward. As I mentioned, Eric Krug, our building inspector, who has his daughter, really has ideas from a standpoint of, how to reach out to the schools, et cetera. In fact, as a matter of fact, the schools are now involved and they're talking about creating a video with their young people of saying why it's important for them. So again, you get people with ideas together and good things happen. And I think that we're fortunate, not just in Plover, there's a lot of communities, but I know Stevens Point is a good example. A lot of that creativity is happening right now. And
Mhm.
it's just fun and amazing to see.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, we look forward to seeing some of these projects come to fruition, and in seeing the way that the communities can come together and make something out of these. Because again, it's something that it's not exactly growing right now, but you're finding a way to make it work there in Plover.
Absolutely, yeah. Last year, think about it, the pandemic, things were difficult, but the Village of Plover had $37 million of construction value. It's one of our higher years that we've had. We anticipate that that will continue into this year with the projects that we're working on. So good things are happening in this area, and it's nice to know that those good things can continue even when overall the economy is a little bit depressed, and we've of course had to deal with COVID this past year.
But again, you've found a way to make it work, and you mentioned 37 million in net new construction. That was that kind of above normal? Is that above what you were expecting?
It is above normal for us. It probably ranks either a second or third as an all-time high for the Village of Plover. So obviously, we're thrilled with the year that we had. We were not expecting it because of what was going on with COVID and the increase in construction costs and that type of thing. So very fortunate and very pleased.
And any one project that powered that, or was it a whole lot of little projects?
It was a number of projects. Basically, we had a multiple family apartment building that was going up on Pleasant Drive. In addition to that, there was the four-story apartment building that was going up in Village Park at Plover, which, by the way, is doing tremendously well. The views from that facility, because of the extra floors, are great. The third floor is completely rented at this point in time. The first floor is almost completely rented, and the second floor is the one that they're working on now. They're probably about 10-15%, but they're way ahead of rentals of what they expected. But that's been good. So we've had several projects that are kind of in that 5, 6 to $10 million range that have helped us out clearly. But another strong component for us was single family residential. We had over 40 houses built last year in the Village of Plover. So the single family residential component was strong for us as well. So a lot of mixture, commercial, not so much manufacturing for the first time in a while, but that will be coming up in this year, and multiple family. So between those mixtures, we did well.
All right. Well, we look forward to seeing what comes of this for the rest of the year. And again, as we mentioned earlier, look forward to some of these groundbreaking ribbon cutting ceremonies for these projects that you've got in the pipeline down there in Plover. Always appreciate the time, Dan, and we will certainly be in touch in the near future.
That sounds great. Take care. Thank you.
You as well.